My guest today is the brilliant Jamali Maddix, a comedian, writer, and presenter known for his razor-sharp wit and fearless honesty. You've seen him on Taskmaster, the groundbreaking documentary series Hate Thy Neighbour, and as a team captain on Nevermind the Buzzcocks. But before we get into the episode, I have some exciting news. Class Clown is launching a Patreon, because of course it is. And I know you're going to love it. It's myself and real-life therapist, Dr. Natalie Corley, going back over previous episodes. We'll be watching clips from the shows. We'll be pulling out key themes brought up by our guests. Natalie offers expert analysis while I share some of my own personal stories and I suppose my connections to those themes. And yes, we have a kind of deep dive into the episodes. It's going to launch in the next couple of weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Very excited about it, and yeah, look forward to you seeing and hearing that. So right, anyway, that's enough from me. Let's chat to Jamali. We geeked together yesterday.
We did.
I made an awful faux pas that I told my missus about this morning.
It was an uncomfortable conversation.
It really wasn't meant to be.
No, I understand what you meant, and I was winding you up.
I said that we've known each other for quite some years, you know, just bumped into each other in a circuit, and then we spent time together at a wedding.
Yeah.
I told you last night, this is how I get myself into trouble. I went, yeah, just like, you know, we didn't really know each other, and I had no idea how nice you are.
No, you said you're a nicer guy than I thought you was, is what you said.
Something like that, yeah. And I meant, that sounded like I was going, I used to think you're a prick.
Yeah.
But what I meant was, I didn't realise how you're such a warm guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were a warm guy.
We got there after 15 minutes of you backpedaling.
Mate, I couldn't sleep. I was just lying there like, why did I say that was me? That's me trying to be nice. And that's what happened.
I understand what you meant.
Oh, God. But look, thank you so much for doing this.
No,
I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
And I really don't know anything about you, about your past. So this is gonna be great. We thought we'll start off with some fun questions.
All right.
Let's see what kind of ute you were.
Yeah.
Pogs or Panini stickers?
I'll say Pogs. Pogs are the ones that used to come outside the Watsits. Used to get them in the Watsits.
And Monster Munch.
Yeah. Pogs, man. I wasn't really Panini stickers are football stickers, right?
Yeah.
I was never into football.
Football.
Yeah, so the football ones were kind of worthless for me.
Okay, fine.
I think, yeah.
Pogs.
I'm a Pog
Did
man.
you collect them?
I think I went through a little phase of getting Pogs, but I was never like a Pog man.
Okay.
My era was more Pokemon cards.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
Pokemon cards?
Yeah.
All right, that should probably go in this segment.
Yeah,
and you were collecting the Pokemon cards?
Yeah, we would have Pokemon cards, but I'd say like Pogs, we used to have them as youths, but it weren't like a big, Pogs weren't the currency.
Tell me honestly, as an adult, did you download Pokemon Go?
No.
Okay, so you've not looked for Pokemon?
No.
All right, okay,
I couldn't
fine.
do that, man.
All right, Oasis or Blur?
Oasis, because I know one or two of their songs.
Okay,
but I met the Blur guy and he was cool, so I'll go Blur for loyalty, but for actual song I've heard.
Just look.
Wonderwall. So I'm going to go Oasis purely for Wonderwall.
Fine. All right. So for you, Biggie or Tupac?
Tupac.
Am I saying Puck or Pac?
When I was younger, it was Tupac. But as I got older, it was Biggie. Because Tupac was more sort of poetry. It was more storytelling, where Biggie was a better rapper. And as I've got older, I've come to appreciate Biggie more than Tupac. But Tupac has more of a catalogue. So I've probably heard more Tupac and there's more interesting stuff. But when you have a bigger catalogue, you also have a lot of stuff that isn't good. Where Biggie stuff, there's not actually that much of Biggie, but it was all pretty great.
They both got shot?
They both got shot. Well, Tupac got shot first and then Biggie got shot later, yeah.
Connected?
I mean, well, they've just arrested the Tupac killer. Because the Tupac killer was doing podcasts.
They've just arrested him.
Yeah, but he was going on podcasts going like, yeah, I killed Tupac. Like, he was just on the podcast circuit. And then I think the police were like, all right, we got to stamp this out. We can't have this guy on the podcast circuit.
He's on to Desert Island Disc. I killed Tupac.
Yeah. I think Tupac was 26 when he got killed. And then Biggie was... And even though you go... Most people would hear that and go, oh my God, to die so young. Mm-hmm. In my head, I'm like, fuck, he got so much done. I'm 34 and I'm a loser. I ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's the comedian's
Yeah,
way
yeah,
of
yeah,
looking
yeah,
at it.
yeah.
You made it about you.
Yeah, he had 4 films already.
He's dead.
Yeah.
Oh God,
Yeah,
I need to work harder.
I need to work harder.
Yeah. All right. So playing out or playing games.
Playing out.
Computer games.
I would say in my later teenage life, once I found roaming on the streets, then that sort of changed. But I was an indoor video game guy.
You're a gamer before you found the streets.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Out of interest, what's your favorite game?
Probably, do you know, I liked GoldenEye a lot.
So you're an N64 guy?
No, I'm not. That's the only game I had on N64. Okay. I started with Sega Mega Drive.
Yeah, same.
And then I had all the PlayStations, never gone to Xbox, and I had the N64.
Have you got the current PlayStation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Right, weed or booze growing up?
Weed.
Would you be found behind a bike shed smoking or in the library?
Bike shed smoking.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was
right.
either
fun.
or. Yeah. Let's get into your childhood, I think. So, well, first up, were you a class clown?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah. I would say I was. Say I was. It's sort of, there was like a changing point of which you can get to later, but I would say probably the change happened in like year 9. Is something happened and it sort of changed me, and I sort of became quite a class clown. But your funny thing is that the class clown, I think, has many forms, and it's like the funny kid and also the kid who's destructive is also the class clown.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think for the first bit I was just destructive and like just disrupting the class.
Yes.
And then I became more funny, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And is that around year 9 that something impacted you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's really interesting. Let's hold that off. I want to come back to that. I'd like to just start with like where you grew up. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Ilford. Ilford is sort of...
Where's Ilford?
Ilford is next to Manor Park. It's sort of in between. So it's where
North London?
No, it's East London. It's just where East London stops.
Okay.
So it's still within the London borough, but the next stop, you're getting into Essex.
If you just skipped, if you almost jumped the fence, would your voice be different?
I would be Brian Bello. Literally, if I was born 10 minutes up the road, I'd be Brian Bello.
Wow,
probably. I mean, because
the
culture changes so much from literally 10 minutes down the road. Like it was always more Londony, I would say. We were more London.
So are we talking the 80s?
No, I'm 90s. So I grew up in the 90s, but early 2000s, I guess, when I became a human.
But your actual childhood,
90s.
Single digits.
Yeah, 90s.
90s in Ilford.
Yeah, I think we moved around a little bit, but from any conscious age, I think we moved to Ilford when I was 3. So I think we went Bethnal Green, and I think we was in Hornchurch. So we was in different areas. And then my mum got the house in Ilford.
And what brought the family to Ilford?
I think my mum and my dad were together at the time. Because mum and dad, I never grew up with my mum and my dad together.
Okay.
But I think my mum, the area when my mum first moved there was quite a nice area, and it would change to not a nice area.
In the time that you lived there?
Yeah.
You remember seeing that change?
Yeah.
Wow.
My mum more say, because when my mum first moved there was sort of antique shops and stuff like that. It was kind of like, it was quite a nice area, and then it went downhill bad. And we can get into why that happened, but it was, and I remember the change.
Tell me what
I think
happened?
What
was it, and what did it become in your eyes?
Yeah, there was sort of like, from what I remember, it was always a bit of a show, but from what my mom tells me, it was quite nicer. I think what happened was many reasons. One is that they moved a lot of people in at once. And where they move a lot of people in, there wasn't infrastructure. So there wasn't the schools, there wasn't jobs, there wasn't housing. So it kind of, made the area go down a bit. I think they started building like a lot of high rises. There was like a lot of people influx, but not the infrastructure to hold it.
Okay.
I think there was another thing that happened sort of later in my teens where they built a lot of halfway houses. So it would be people with drug issues. And then when the drug issues came, and people trying to overcome the sickness of addiction, then the drug dealers from my area and drug dealers from other areas were all trying to move in on it because there was just like an influx of, people who wanted drugs, and then that, caused. And there was that one summer where there was like a lot of stabbings and shootings and stuff, and that kind of.
How close were you to that?
I mean, like, not I wasn't stabbing and shooting people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, like you'd have friends that, like, because you sort of grow up in the neighborhood, so guys you grew up with would be dealing, or sort of more on that side of it. But I wasn't really. I knew them guys, but I was a comic. I never really. Yeah, I didn't want to get involved in all of that.
Well, what kind of child were you then?
Yeah, I think I was quite from videos. My grandma used to film everything. She was like one of those always, handy cams.
She was ahead of the game.
Yeah. She had she was
TikToking
yeah, content heavy.
Yeah.
And it's always, and all you can hear in the videos is my grandma filming, saying, "Oh, look what's going on," and it'd be like, "Aston, pull it down," or "Jamali, pull it down," and it'd just be me picking up something and throwing it. And
okay.
I was one of those kids. I was always like doing something I shouldn't be doing. But like,
sounds like now you'd be diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
As a child.
I mean, they diagnosed me with bare stuff. Trust me, man. I had it all, man. I had it all. But yeah, so I was always kind of like, I'd say I was like a, rambunctious child from what my mom told me. I think I was the worst combination. I was really fat with energy.
Okay.
And I think that's the most destructive kid. It's just like a cannonball.
Yeah.
I remember I was outside my house and I was playing. For some reason, I had a stick, like a plank, and I was hitting stones like it was baseball, thinking that was going to be, and it smashed a car window, and it was a Sunday. So it's going to be double the bubble to get it paid, right?
Oh.
And I remember I smashed the window, and it was of a guy who lived on my road who was really grumpy as well. So it's not like he's going to be like, kids just being kids. No, he's pissed. And I remember I just went, oh, and I jumped on my bike and I just rode to my dad's house. Right. And my dad lived about 20 minutes away. I just rode to my dad's house, sat to my dad's house. Yeah. And I get there and my dad's like, "Oh, what's up? Why are you here?" And I was like, no reason. I just wanted to come because I was meant to go there anyway. But I was like, "Oh, he was going to come pick me up." He's like, "Why you ride here?" I went, yeah. And I was like, "All right, let's go. What do you want to do?" And he was like, let's go park. So we went to the park. And I remember my mum rang my dad. And so my dad's talking and that, and my dad, it's Saturday, and my dad's like, hey, you're right. He did what? Okay. It costs how much? Okay. Yeah, he's here, yeah. I'll tell him. And my dad comes off the phone, I go, "What happened?" And my dad just goes, "Enjoy this weekend, man." That's all he said. He wasn't even mad at me. He just said, "Boy, you better enjoy this weekend, And I remember I'll be having fun, and my dad took me to a party on Sunday. And I remember I'll be having fun, and I just remember, oh fuck, I gotta go back home tonight. And then there was just not a moment of relaxation because I knew it. And then when I got back, my God, I got my mum banned me from PlayStation and TV for months. And I remember my mum would come home from work and she would put her hand on the PlayStation to check if it was warm, to see if I've been playing it.
That's wow.
Yeah.
The detective work of your mum.
Yeah. So my mum was fucking. So I don't think out of all of my life, my mum's ever been that mad at me. She was fucking furious. I think it cost like £500 or something, because it was like a Sunday, and you had to pay for the Sunday charge.
It's a car window.
Yeah, it's a back window.
Yeah, we get it. And I'm using that, but I've got a son, and when he's growing up, I'm using that, and I will feel that PlayStation. I will know.
You know it. But I just remember him going, "Yep, okay," and he's put down the phone. He's went, "Boy, you better enjoy this weekend."
That's incredible. Absolutely fantastic.
But yeah, I'll say I was quite a happy kid.
Oh,
from what my mum tells me, I was quite a happy kid. I was always smiley and cheeky.
Oh, lovely.
Because I think that's the best kid. I kind of don't like a kid that's just like, you see him at a farm, you see him at a farmer's market, and they're just well behaved and can I have some avocado. I think they're the shittest kids. I kind of think a kid should have personality. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I have some more almonds, please? Like, that's a shit kid, man. Yeah. You kind of want a kid on some E numbers. You know what I mean? I think that's a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, brought up on Sunny Delight.
Yeah.
And exclusively
and I was brought up on that.
And microwave foods.
Yeah. I grew up on Sunny Delight. I grew up on the sweets and the crisps, and I had like a proper granddad who was like, have another chalk ice. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, my mom never, it wasn't about like eating healthy and all that type. I had a proper childhood. I think.
Yeah. You mentioned your parents not being together. Was that in your...
I was young when they broke up, man. I must have been. My dad left the house when I was maybe like 2, 3.
Okay, so you don't.
Yeah, so I grew up with a weekend dad. So I always had to go. So I used to go to my dad's house on the weekend.
How was that? Out of interest, I suppose that's all you know. You don't know any different.
No, it was shit. I remember sort of. It was. Do you know what? And it's only later in life where I kind of feel guilt for how I felt, but I've got to let myself off because I was a kid.
Jamali, we've all got that.
Of course.
The later in life,
yeah.
Oh, I mean, I've got 2 kids now. I need to apologize to my parents.
yeah.
A lot.
But I remember, like, my dad's house was fun, and my mum's. I used to think of my mum like, you ever seen the mum in Malcolm in the Middle?
Right.
That's how I would see my mum.
Okay, lovely.
But it's because I was there 5 days a week, and my dad just had me for a weekend. So it's like, we can go park and fuck about, and do you know what I mean? But my mum had to instill a bit of order in the house. So,
what was... That's interesting. You mentioned the order. So what was...
Strict? No, she tried, but it wasn't. I think, see, the thing is my mum worked a lot. So my mum... So I was sort of like, my grandma kind of was there every day. So when I woke up, my mum was at work. And then when I was sort of getting ready for bed, that's when my mum would come back from work. So my mum probably had like an hour with us. And you think in that hour, it's just telling you, all she's hearing in that hour is all the bad stuff he's done today. So do you know what I'm saying though? So that's probably all so she has an hour with us. It's all she's probably hearing is, what fuck's Jamali done today?
So
it's like,
totally.
you know what I'm saying? No, so it's not, and I'd say my mum, it was every day like that, but that's the sort of thing you probably remember.
Draw us a picture. What were the kind of naughty things that you were getting up to? What age are we talking? Are we still in kind of single digits here? What kind of naughty kid?
Well, I was just always the kid of like, I've always been curious. So it's like, if you tell me don't go through that door, I have to. I have to. Like, I have to. So I'd be, running out of the house. I used to have one of those leashes.
What?
The leash.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, my grandma had to put me on a leash when I was a kid. Because I'd always be fucking off.
You got on the leash like a dog.
Yeah, I was on the leash like a dog because I was just fucking I had to run everywhere. And my mum would tell me that she would take me to the shops and I would just throw myself on the floor because I was tired. So I'd throw myself on the floor and I was immovable. And
you're only child, by the way.
No, I got 3 sisters. But I got...
So where are you in this?
So I got an older sister
ladder
who's a year and a half older than me. Or a year, or like 18 months older than me.
Yeah.
And then I've got 2 younger sisters, but we've got different dads, but there's quite an age gap between us. So the oldest one of them 2 is about 25 now.
Okay.
So, or 26. So yes, there's about a good 10 years difference between us and me and the older of the 2 youngest. And the other youngest is like 21.
All right.
She just finished uni.
Were they on a lead?
No, but they kind of grew up different. It's weird. It's like, because when I got to about 16, my mum got a better job. So me and my sister grew up quite, like I remember coming home. And like, I think the problem is when you say like, it was, my mum didn't have a lot of money, you think that we starved. We didn't. You know what I mean? There was always food on the table when we had Christmas presents.
Yeah.
But there'll be time, I remember growing up as a kid, there would, you'd have to have we would wake up and there wasn't enough electric on the key.
Okay.
So you'd have to, if you were brushing your teeth, you had to put the light on in the bathroom and then turn, and there would be one light on that someone had to use to brush their teeth. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it was because it was on the key. So once that key ran out, bruv, there was no electric, we had that, we was sort of electric key kids as opposed to, you had the people who paid monthly. We weren't paid monthly.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like
electric.
you were, you're saying there was always food on the table. It doesn't sound like you grew up rolling in it. Do you know what I mean?
We weren't.
No.
We weren't. we weren't rolling in it. Yeah. So but when they got older, when they were kids, they never really had that.
And
which I think is good for them.
I think it's a case of when you get older and you look back, when you're growing up, it's normal. There's food on the table, like you say. You also, I think you have lesser sense when you're younger of kind of what's out there in the world. You only kind of know your world.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
you get older and you meet people and
I guess everyone kind of around me kind of lived similar.
Precisely.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like my friends lived similar. Like it wasn't like, we was the only one on the street like that. Like it was kind of what it was.
And that's what's for me, if you don't mind me saying, one of the things that's interesting about being a comedian is suddenly you chuck yourself into this kind of mixed bowl of different societies from different classes, different backgrounds, and it kind of makes you hyper aware to the different lifestyles that are out there. I think, generally speaking, and I am speaking generally, is that most people, you grow up in the area and you go to a job, and again, people will be on a similar, kind of similar level, as you.
Well, because even when you go to a job, you're kind of on the same wage.
Precisely.
And you're sort of entry level the same.
And I gig with people that are not on the same wage.
But you know what I'm saying? Like there's a huge difference.
Yes.
And it is weird with comedy and I'm happy I'm involved in the culture of comedy and the sort of life of comedy, because there's people where I would never have spoken
Absolutely.
to them. Like in no world do me and Tom Horton meet.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I'm saying? No, and even just that name, but like me and
Ivo Graham texted me the other day about something. There's no way I meet someone from
because
Eton.
it's just a completely different. Me and Larry Dean, we just don't meet.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying though? That's it. And I've been Bhutan with him. Do you know what me and him have drove across Bhutan? Do you know what I mean? Like I've been international countries with people that I would never have met, and we've literally been around the world together doing gigs. Like it's a weird thing, and and it opens your mind more, because I think there's because there's a lot of guys I grew up with where they the countries they've been to is sort of like it's very like they've been Amsterdam, they've been Thailand, and then they might have been Spain. Do you know what I mean? Where it's I've been able to vary. I've been, Eastern Europe. I've been, everywhere. And it's just, well,
your documentaries that took you all around.
Yeah. I went everywhere, man.
As well.
Everywhere, yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt, but this week we have a new sponsorship. It is Sheath Underwear. Adam.
Yeah.
Are you wearing Sheath underwear right now?
I'm wearing Sheath underwear. I'm wearing the bamboo Sheath underwear.
Are you?
Yeah.
What are the advantages of bamboo?
Well, the bamboo I think is quite good for kind of like keeping you dry and breathable.
So downstairs you're breathing better?
Breathing better, yes.
Good. Yeah. Good to hear it.
Yeah.
Right.
Are you breathing better?
I'm breathing. Don't worry about my breathing, mate. You don't worry about my breathing. Let's concentrate on your breathing. Sheath underwear.
Yes.
Has some sort of special pouch.
Yes. So, I don't know how you found this, but like there's the pouch, let's say for the beans, and then there's the little hole for the frank, and it keeps the frank and the beans separate. Great when you're in the gym. Keeps it all separate and let's say intact.
It's intact. It keeps that thing's going nowhere. Get yourself some Sheath underwear. Keep it all in the right place.
And use the Class Clown discount code.
Class Clown discount code. The promo code is Class Clown. Capital letters for 20% off your order. That's sheath.com. Promo code Class Clown for 20% off. So that's really interesting to me. About working in comedy, this kind of hodgepodge of all these different ways of life. What was expected of you in Ilford? What did people tend to do as jobs in comparison to what we just discussed?
Yeah, it's a sort of you get a lot of mix. So I got guys that I grew up with who are perpetually unemployed. Sort of bits and bobs.
Was that expected? Do you know what I mean? When you're at school, what's ahead of you?
Yeah.
Is there a sense of what's ahead of you?
I think the school but then I got some friends who work in banking was the end of that thing. But
yeah,
I think the school I particularly went to was training people to sort of enter the officey kind of workspace.
Yeah.
You know, because actually the school I actually went to wasn't a bad school. Like it was sort of like people would move to the catchment area to go to that school. Because I
Okay,
think
wow.
my school had
What was it? Can you say?
it was called
What
Seven
school?
Kings.
Seven Kings.
And it had a pass rate of like 94% A to C's. It was one of those type of schools.
Wow.
And I was in that percentage that didn't get that. And I think
I'm surprised by that, by the way.
yeah, I
talking to you.
I mean, we can get
And seeing your stand-up.
yeah,
as
we can
well.
get to school. I mean, because it's so basically, if we're gonna jump a bit, do you
Well,
want to jump a bit?
let's
Okay.
not, because what I want to do, I want to get to that, but what I want to do now is ask a question that I ask everyone, which is, and we'll get a sense of this, is that Aristotle has that quote, "Give me a child until the age of 7, and I will show you the foundations of the man."
Mm-hmm.
So Aristotle sees Jamali at 7.
Yeah.
Is he going to be able to work out where this kid's going to go with his life?
7 would be starting primary school.
Yeah.
I think, you know what? My primary school experience was so different to what happened at my high school experience. Because my primary school was a real nice primary school. I remember we had this teacher called Miss Roper. She was the head teacher. And Miss Roper knew everybody's name in this school.
Okay.
Even that little kid who never spoke, she knew her name.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? She just knew everyone's,
You seem very happy talking about this primary school.
Oh, it was
and
great.
Miss Roper.
Bro, we literally,
really
she still remembers
sweet.
me now. Like, she messaged me on Facebook. She goes, oh my God,
No.
and she remembers my sisters. She remembers my mum's name. And this has been over
that's lovely.
this has been over 30 years
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And she
Yeah.
knows, and we celebrate. And do you know what's funny? We celebrated everything. So we celebrated Diwali, Eid, Chinese New Year,
Okay.
Passover.
Yeah.
We celebrated
It's a
everything.
lot of partying.
And do you know what's funny is if you, in this current climate,
I know.
if you put it in now, because we did
I'm just
assembly where
thinking
we
that.
were doing Muslim prayer. And if you would have put that out now, and no one cared back then, everyone was just like, oh, they're learning about another culture. Because where I grew up was very
Wow.
multicultural. So you had Africans, Jamaicans, you had Indians, Pakistanis. Mostly I say Indians, Pakistanis, but you had like a very mixed culture of people. And the school was very mixed. So it felt like nothing to celebrate someone else's culture. Like we didn't care. My mum never kicked off saying, oh my God, they got them fucking doing Muslim prayers. Mum was like, oh yeah, that's how, who cares? So I was in assembly doing the Muslim prayer, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wearing the fuck topi, all of that, man. It was mad.
Okay.
And
you weren't religious in any of your household?
No.
There was no religion?
Mum, no religion.
Okay.
My mum's pseudo-Buddhist. Like that's the most,
Sure.
you know, just because she thinks it's fun.
Yeah.
Like there's no religion. Back I wasn't christened. My older sister was, but it was just for the party. But my, but yeah, and it was like, and the teacher, she was real cool. And she was like, we used to, this is when like sort of garage MC and sort of So Solid Crew and that. And she would
So
let,
Solid Crew?
yeah, she would let us rap in assembly.
Okay.
You let us rap in assembly and that.
It's very...
And do you know what the funny thing? Yeah, and it's,
So, I think your school might be the cause of
Yeah.
woke.
yeah. It was what would be considered
This is
now.
the wokest building
It was
in
kind
the
of-
country.
It was kind of, you see here, you've got them schools that pay hundreds of, people pay thousands of pounds and they're called like, it's middle class people send their kids there. There's schools where it's like they teach them in a
Do you
particular
mean
way.
Steiner School? That's the
That
only
type
one
of-
I know.
So Steiner, but there's another
I have
one.
a friend that went to Steiner School, and apparently he told me that this school, they weren't allowed corners in the room, so every room was
Yeah.
round.
Yeah, it's all that type of shit.
Yeah.
But my school was kind of that, but for normal people.
Okay, state school.
In a
nice.
weird way. It was all you being creative and, you know, like the teachers allowed, like that my head teacher encouraged me especially to
That's
still be there.
amazing.
But the funny thing was my auntie reminded me of this, and there's a videotape somewhere that because people would be filming it. I think I technically did my first stand-up in primary.
There we go.
And I
There we
remember
go.
it was year 5 and there was a sketch show, these two kids called Declan and I want to say Daniel. And it was called the DD show.
It was a skit. What are you talking
They
about?
did-
There was a
listen,
sketch
it was-
show
it was-
in year 5.
No, it was a talent show. And they would
This
do
is
these
brilliant.
sketches. They would do these sketches.
Okay.
And then I was like, yeah, let me come do the sketch and that. Let me join up in the sketch group. And they were like, boy, you know, we've written stuff and it. And then you remember when little kids, you ever see, you got kids, when they do a play and the kids start crying because they don't want to go on.
Yeah, mine aren't old enough, but yes,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah.
And I remember the teacher just said, go out there and do something because the kids won't go out there. So I just went out there.
Wait. There's Dan, sorry, the two kids,
Yeah.
the double act.
Yeah.
They got stage fright.
Yeah, they got stage fright and wouldn't go on. So the teachers went, go out there and do something.
Save the day.
Yeah. And then all I remember is I went out there and I got to say, I killed. Like I put up my collars and I started doing like, I'm Harry Hill. And I started, yeah. And it was,
That's wild.
And I was in primary school and I had no concept of what Harry Hill was. But I just remember seeing, because my mum likes Harry Hill. So I just remember seeing it on the telly and he had big collars. So I put my collars up. I was like, I'm Harry. And I was doing dumb shit like shaking out, and doing this like a little fat kid dancing. Killed. And I think that was my first stand-up show, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So Aristotle then we presume would have seen you and gone, well, that kid's got it. Live at the Apollo.
You know, like when people say, oh, the biggest fear they have is like, when you tell me you do stand-up, they go, oh, I could never do. Talking in public has never been a fear of mine. Like my fear was more having to read out loud. That's a fear. But talking in public.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I really try to avoid talking about myself on it.
Yeah.
That's when you said that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, I was basically comparing myself to you as another comedian.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And I thought, just in the back of my head, I'm fully listening to you, but in the back of my head, I thought, yeah, maybe I was the same. I thought, but I hated reading. I could not read.
Well, I had.
And then you said that. I had the exact same thing.
I got dyslexia and dyspraxia. I had it, like I cured it. I've got dyslexia, dyspraxia.
Okay. And were you diagnosed from a young age with it? Was it spotted?
Yeah, it was spotted, but it was sort of like, it was still the early days, so it wasn't quite. It's not now, where now it's like you have a gift. Like back then, you had an issue, and it was sort of like, do you know what I mean? It was, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not
you
what
had
it is.
a problem.
Yeah, you had a problem. Like we got an issue here. We're calling in your mum.
You guys could go and learn in the basement.
Yeah. So, and then sort of when I went to secondary school, that's when it all kind of shifted, and they, and it was sort of, that was, I would say, some of the worst times. I fucking hated secondary school.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. What?
Yeah.
So you said your mum liked Harry Hill.
Yeah.
Were you
her favorite
watching?
comic.
That's her favorite comedian.
Yeah.
And
the other guy who did sketches, he sadly passed away. I mean, Kenny Everett. My mum loved Kenny Everett.
But presumably you went on to work with Harry Hill.
Yeah, I worked with Harry Hill. Yeah, there's two people my mum doesn't believe I know, and it's Harry Hill and it's Tom Allen.
Yeah,
and my mum just won't believe I know him. I'm like, oh yeah, I know him. No, you don't. My mum loves him.
That woman loves bald comedy.
Yeah, she really does.
Absolutely,
she really does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched comedy. Do you know what? I used to watch a lot of Paramount.
Paramount Comedy Channel.
So I watched like
Comedy Store.
Comedy Store. Yeah. So I used to watch. So I remember seeing Tom Stade. I remember seeing Paul Chowdhury doing Al Pacino impressions. I remember seeing that. I remember seeing all of it. Yeah.
What were you watching with your mom?
Yeah. My mum and my mum's husband, who's now my mum's husband. But yeah, I used to watch it with them. I used to watch it a lot. Yeah. Who used to be on would be like
Ricky Grover.
Ricky Grover, yeah, he used to have like a bag on his head or something, innit? Yeah. Ricky Grover. Who else would be on there?
I'll tell you, John Maloney would turn up a lot. Do you know John
Maloney? Yeah. John Maloney would be on there. Yeah, I just watch all of that, man.
People, to me, by the way, I should say, these are kings.
Yeah.
These
foundations of what we do now, and sort of where we work, and because when I first started, when I first started at the store, it was them, man. I would be sort of the young guy, and it would be all of them, man.
Yeah.
It would be like John Maloney, and
You were what? That's incredible. You got to work with the people you were watching.
Yeah.
And so you all sat around there laughing. You're laughing with your mum.
Yeah, I sort of didn't really, I might have not got all of the references and all of the stuff, but I remember really sort of being drawn to whatever that was.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I didn't quite know what stand-up was, because when I always used to want to be a funny actor. I wanted to be like Jim Carrey or Robert, because I didn't quite know what stand-up was. So I
Yeah,
wanted to be
yeah.
a funny actor.
Yeah.
Because that was all I saw comedy was. And then
So what were your favourite films? And
Oh,
that's not a
man.
trivial question.
No,
I think when you're a comedian,
Ace Ventura.
Okay.
Like I used to like really Ace Ventura. I used to love Flubber when I was a little kid, and all of them films and them.
So Robin Williams, it's quite interesting because those acts, and you might correct me here, and because
completely different to my act.
I was going to say yes, you don't see that in your act, but often, people don't realise that you might know there is. You might go, actually, there are things the audience won't see it, but I know that there's a connection to those things that I grew up watching.
The only thing I would say I probably got from them, because I think that's a fair assessment, but the only thing I would say I got from them is trying to make stuff silly. Because even if I'm talking about something serious, it's kind of trying to make it a silly. And the funny's in the silliness of it.
Absolutely.
And the ridiculousness of it. It's not always what it is. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. But it's like, even if talking about a serious subject, it's like the silly things are the funny bits.
Well, I see for an observation of mine might be that you tend to start somewhere serious. In your comedy, it will start serious, and then it will go. It will turn silly, and that's the kind of journey that we go on. With you, it's great, and I loved it. I've been watching a lot. Last night, and obviously I geeked with you as well, which was handy. But so okay, that's fantastic that you watched stand up with your mum, and you've gone on to work with her favourite comedians. That's beautiful.
Multiple times,
multiple times.
Yeah.
But then something happens and you go to secondary school, and I want to hear about this.
Well,
it's very interesting.
It was so I had dyslexia and dyspraxia.
And sorry, to be clear, this is diagnosed at primary school.
This is kind of towards the late, because I wasn't. They were What
were the signs?
Handwriting,
to someone like me,
reading. Handwriting and reading.
Okay.
Would be the signs. Handwriting and reading, and it was sort of like, but they never. It was so like say like they used to try and teach us with, and I'm left-handed as well, so they try and teach us to write with fountain pens for handwriting.
Yeah.
And so I would smudge the whole thing, and my handwriting was fucked. And instead of being like, you must learn to write in a fountain pen, they would say, just use the biro. It's fine. Just use the biro. You know what I mean? And it was sort of not as pushy about it. So I didn't really, so they would tell you had it. And, but it didn't really think. The only thing that it was starting to change from when I was like, say, year 5 was they made me used to go to extra, I used to have to go to like extra tutoring.
I remember this,
and I used to fucking hate
other kids doing this.
And I used to, and all I learned was how to spell because. Like that's all I learned. It was big elephants cause accidents using small exits. Like that's all I learned. And I remember
you still got it.
Yeah, and I remember fucking hating it. And that was sort of towards the end of primary school. And then when I got to secondary school, the diagnoses came more, and I remember I used to have to do all these tests. And I fucking hated it, man. I felt like a guinea pig, and then
it sounds quite isolating.
Yeah, and I was sort of like,
and it sounds very removed from Miss Roper.
Yeah.
Go on, you were going to say sorry.
No.
It felt isolated and removed.
Yeah, it was sort of removed, and and it was sort of. I just remember like I have to get all these tests done, and I fucking hated it, and they would be like. These reports would come out and be like, cod liver oil, change it, helps. And so I'd have to take fucking these cod liver oil tablets. And it was just all of this stuff. And it sort of was a reinforcement that I had some issue. And I remember I hated it. And they used to put me in, I was in like lower sets, and it was pretty much special ed.
So what are you taken out of that set system? Is that what happens?
Yes.
So we got 1 to 5.
Yeah, and then I'm in a different set. So I'm lower set, or I'm in a separate class. Yeah. And the class would be me, the naughty kids, and everyone else had Down syndrome. Like that was that was the class, And I fucking hated it, man. Like I remember like, but then if I look at my school reports, because I actually looked at my school reports before coming here, because it's like a lot of.
Thank you. Thank you for doing some research.
Yeah, because a lot of that time I've kind of forgotten about, and I've kind of moved on from it. So I kind of had to put myself back into it.
Do you mean you forcefully have kind of moved on from that? As in, have you tried to forget?
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
And subconsciously
genuinely
too.
thank you for
No,
sharing.
it's all right. No, and subconsciously I've kind of, like, even because I hung out with some guys I went to school with, and they're like, do you remember that? And I was like, oh, fuck, I can't remember. I think I've blanked a lot of that out.
Yes.
And I remember I looked at my school reports, and if you look at my school reports from year 7, year 8, it was, and you see the change. Because I remember the day, it's one of the most changing moments of my life, and I remember it so clearly. And if you see my school reports from year 7 to year 8, it was bad. It was all E's and F's and failing, but the efforts were 1s and 2s. And all of the school reports would be like, he's bright, he's fine, he can be a bit chatty in class and a bit naughty and cheeky, but we like him as a guy and we think he's cool. But, you know, the effort was always, he puts a lot of effort in. That was always the thing. And then from the year 9, the whole report changed, and the reports would be like 0 effort. One person wrote in my school report that I'm the ringleader of bad behavior.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And shit like we're a biker gang.
Yeah.
But it was like you saw the reports change. And it's funny, and I can tell you if you want it later on, but I had a teacher actually come to one of my shows at 99 Club. Like, came to a show. And
tell us.
And he came up to me and he actually apologized to me, and he goes to me, the school system let you down. Is what he said to me. He goes, you know, the school system really let you down as a person. But yeah, so I
I think this is the first time I'm ever going to ask this.
Yeah.
Maybe hopefully the last. How did that make you feel? It's the most
sorry.
therapeutic question I've asked. But you know, teachers because looking at you now and listening to you, you know, the difference is palpable between you talking about primary school and you talking about secondary school. I feel like I'm almost talking to a different person.
Yeah.
And so obviously it's affected you in a negative way. And then you later on in life, when you're beginning to make something of yourself, or indeed already have done at that point, I don't know how long ago it was, the teacher says sorry and the system let you down. I'm interested in
It's
how that
interesting
feel.
because I kind of knew he felt like that already, because he was one of the few teachers when my mum came into school for Teachers' Day, or not Teachers' Day, sorry, Parents' Evening.
Yeah.
He was one of the few teachers which wasn't like, your son's a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? He was one of the few teachers who'd be like, your son's very smart, your son's can be anything he wants to be if he put his mind to it and all that. Where the rest of the teachers were like, your son is a nightmare and, you know, he's probably going to be nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember like, you know, because they tried to kick me out of school about like 5-6 times, and they tried to send me to college at 14. I remember it was sort of 14. Man, they tried to send me to college at like 15, and they did this thing, and this showed you how they viewed me. And it's going to sound a bit rude, and I don't mean this to anyone out there who holds these jobs. I do apologize if it sounds rude, but they tried to send me to this college. It was called Redbridge College, and it was they tried to send me there. And basically, when you get to the college, the courses were sort of how to answer phones at a minicab office, how it's not catering, it's how to work in fast food. That was the courses. It was people that were on benefit to try and get them back to work. It was those courses. Yeah. Bro, you think I'm lying? Bro, that's the course they tried to send me to. So they tried to kick me out of school to send me to them courses. And my mum had to come with a lawyer to school.
Oh, wow. Your mum went and got a lawyer.
Yeah. My mum had to go get a lawyer to come to school and then to quote legal stuff to be like, you can't, you know what I mean? Because
that's incredibly strong of her to do that.
Yeah, come on. My mum knew that. I think that it would have been so easy for me to. I think there's people in society that come off the radar, and I think they sort of. It's easy for, like, the school system lets them. The school system doesn't work for them, and they can kind of fall into the cracks. And my mum knew I could have fell into that. So my mum was very conscious about, listen, even if you get E's and F's, you need something.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You need to do something. You need school, you know?
And she was not a fan of children at the age of 13. who are
Like
being
this-
told that their destiny.
Yeah.
They don't really have much choice in this now. That we've
Yeah.
decided at 13
Yeah.
that you're probably going to be answering
Yeah.
phones in minicab
Yeah.
offices.
But that's like, that's
which,
what
which
they
are
wanted
now
to do.
defunct.
Yeah.
Which now don't
Yeah.
exist.
But I remember, yeah. And it was sort of like, but from year 7, year 8, the effort was always ones, and the effort and the teacher's comments were always like, he's got a lot going for him. He just needs to maybe try this or try that. But then from year 9 onwards, it was a complete different thing.
Did you appreciate your teacher saying sorry? I'm just fascinated.
I guess so, but it's not the person who said the thing to me. You know what I mean? It wasn't, it's sort of like, when someone apologizes to you, but it wasn't the person, but they're like, I'm sorry that. It's like, well, it's nothing to do with you.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to the actual person that said it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, it wasn't a bad feeling, but it wasn't, I can't say it was like this, feeling of, changed my life.
Yeah. Okay, well then what happened? What happened? And
it sounds
what happens?
so...
What's this change between 8 and 9?
It sounds, and I know I've sort of been teasing it so much that you're expecting something bigger than it was, but I just remember this was the thing, and I remember it so vividly.
These things are very personal.
Yeah, but I remember it was a teacher who's our French teacher, and he was off, so we had a fill-in teacher who was another head of year, and I remember her name, and I probably shouldn't say her name, but I remember she said to me after class, she goes, "Can you wait after class?" And she kept me there, and she goes, "What do you want to be when you're older?" And I was in year 8, so everyone said, "I want to be a lawyer" for some reason. I don't know why we all wanted to be fucking lawyers and doctors. But I said, I want to be a lawyer. And she pulled out my book and she opened it and she goes, "You see this handwriting? With this handwriting, you'll be nothing." And I remember that change. And I remember then and I remember like, it was literally like instantaneously. I completely shifted as a person. I remember my mum noticed, everyone noticed. And I remember the teacher came in and I was fucking around in class and that. And the teacher kept me behind. He goes, "What's the matter with you?" Like, what's up with you? He goes, what happened? And I told him what happened the couple weeks before, and he just shook his head and he's like, I'm really sorry that happened. And and then from then it was just, I was so and it's a few...
Made me feel sick.
Yeah, but it's a few times you feel that level of embarrassment and shame, and it's something I can't control. No matter how, if I practice for the next 100 years, I think there's a sort of this positivity which I fucking hate, where it's sort of like, if you try and eat your vegetables and do your vitamins, and there's things that just won't change. My handwriting, no matter if I practice for the next 100 years, it ain't fucking changing. Okay. It just is what it is, And I remember it's sort of like that level of embarrassment. I sort of realized in my mind that if I was big and loud and, sort of caused a nuisance, it would take focus off of that one thing. You know what I mean? It would take focus off of the reading. If someone asked me to read out loud and I said something funny instead and fucked around, it would take notice off the fact that I can't really read that well. Or if it's sort of like come up to the front and do something and draw on the board, if I drew a picture of a pair of tits, that would take fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like that would take...
Yes,
I never draw a pair of tits on the board, but you know what I'm saying? It's the first thing that came in my head, and I don't know why I said pair of tits. I've tried to figure of the funniest thing I could have read. And a pair of tits would have been funny.
Yes. I get the point you're making. Absolutely. Something
so
pure
sort of,
it would distract from the fact that maybe you feel inadequate, or you, or people, or the teachers.
And I just remember that feeling of feeling like nothing and feeling like a piece of shit and that sort of carried on for a lot of years of my life, man. It was just that one moment that everything changed, and I just, and I became, and it's sort of like, if anything, the good things I can kind of guess that came from it is I became really, and I think I still hold a lot of it today, is I became really anti-authority. And like, because one of the things in school is you weren't allowed, like, there was like a dress code and you weren't allowed long hair. And if you did have long hair, it had to be in like dudes would have to ponytail it. Yeah. And I grew a massive afro. Like it was like out here. Yeah. and they would complain to my mom about it all the time, and they'd be like, "It's against school code," And then I would read it and says, but it says you're allowed long hair. This is how my hair grows. It doesn't go in a ponytail. I have Afro hair. This is how it grows.
Yeah.
So they couldn't say nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would just do shit like that.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's sort of like I would know exactly what the rules were. And I sort of became, you know, because I remember still they would send people into the school to try and like assess me for my dyslexia, dyspraxia. And I have a way of talking and charming people where I remember they sent this lady in, and within 10 minutes of the conversation, she's telling me about herself as opposed to doing this. So then the hour's gone up. And then she's realized, she's gone, oh, fuck, we was meant to talk about your dyslexia, but I've ended up telling you about my second marriage. Because I was just able to use that, you know what I'm saying, and use humor and charm. And I sort of used it, you know, in those ways, which probably was manipulative of a way to use it, but it's just to get out of it, you know what I mean? And yeah.
And so were you, I mean, what is this, detentions? You said they tried to kick you.
Oh, bare times, man.
What were you doing? How has the misbehavior elevated to something that's so bad that they're now threatening with kicking you out?
It's sort of like walking out of classes. I was running in the halls, you know that kid knock on the window of someone in the class and do all that shit. I would go to other classes I weren't in. I would, you know.
So there's certainly
bunking off.
Yeah,
all of that shit, man. Yeah, smoking in the toilet. I remember the teachers. We would smoke so much in the toilet. One time, a teacher called us, and she was like, "You know, we're gonna take you to the head of year." And the head of year was just like, he was so tired. He was just like, "Just smoke out the gates. Like, I don't care. Just don't. Can you not do it here,
please?"
Yeah. So then he was like,
so hungover.
He didn't even confiscate our cigarettes. He was like, "He just smoke them out the gates. I don't care."
Yeah.
And you know, you just like, you know. We had very long lunches and shit like that.
I noticed you said "we" a while ago because when you were talking about you were accused of being the leader.
Yeah.
And that we, who is that we? Was there a kind of
there was a collective. It's a collective of us.
And who were you? Just give me a picture, so I can get a sense of this. I'm trying to work out. Would I cross the road if I saw these kids walking towards me?
Yeah, I don't know, but like it was sort of like this other one of my boys got kicked out. My boy T stood around. It was like Ramon was in it. There was a kid called Russell. I remember he was in some of my classes. There was another kid, Steve. Like there was just like a group of us who were sort of, some of us were in those, because I remember like the science teachers all came together as a collective and decided they're not going to teach us science anymore because they sort of made a union stance and said we can't teach these kids science. This is because, you know, they're fucking around on the Bunsen burners. You know what I mean? They're pulling the chemical water lever, like they're throwing around hydrogen. Like we can't fuck with these kids no more.
Yeah.
And so there was
they might gas us, these kids.
Yeah. There was one teacher who was like, I'll have to take them. So he took us, and it was just a band of bad kids, and he took us on in science and that. And then they basically took away one of our classes and they made us do a construction course. It was me and the rest of these, but Russell was in that. And they tried to send us to college, and we would like kick doors in, and like we're meant to be painting them, and we'd kick them in and stuff. And they kicked us out the college. We weren't allowed in the college. And then they tried to make us go on our lunch break, and we didn't go. And you know, it's just shit like that, man.
But it sounds like a long way away from the boy before being told that you would amount to nothing. I mean, one thing that strikes me about that, by the way, is that it's that hope, which is such a powerful thing in life. Hope, you know, the possibility of something was removed from you by this adult.
I genuinely believed I would be nothing. Like I genuinely, there was no thought in my mind that I wouldn't be nothing. Like there was no inkling that there was anything for me but nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there was no, you know, idea of difference from that idea, you know, difference from that life. I felt destined for it. Do you know what I mean? Like I thought that, you know, even to the point of there was a higher presence of power pushing me to that of nothingness. And it felt hopeless. It felt like a void. And it's not, you know, it's sort of like, it must, you know, it's sort of like you jumped off a bridge and there's no, you know what I mean? You've committed to the job and you're midway through and there's no change in that. There's nothing you can do. There's no parachute.
You're hopeless.
You're hopeless, you know. And I think the sad thing is there's, you know, I don't think that's a unique story. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
don't think that's unique. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a. I think there's large swaths of the country where that's a fault, especially for young men and young boys, where
Yes.
that is what they think. You know, and you know, having done documentaries on sort of extremists, it's kind of those guys that go to the far right or go to, you know, Islamic. You know, it's those guys, and it's sort of always that kind of person. You know.
So these documentaries where you're meeting extremists.
Yeah.
What was the program called again?
Oh, Hate Thy Neighbor.
Hate Thy Neighbor.
And then I did another one called Follow the Leader.
Follow the Leader. Did you get were you able to almost connect with them in a way because of that? Like you say there, you're almost
No.
I mean, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm in danger of saying, you know, you got them right.
Yeah.
But did your upbringing? You kind of alluded to it there that there was almost.
Well,
You're saying, well, they're that.
Yeah. I think you know there was a certain, I wouldn't say connection, because I try to be
Empathy.
Here. Yeah, empathy. I guess you know, there is a kind of. I was always more interested in the why you are the way you are instead of what you're saying.
Yeah,
because what you're saying is sensationalism, and it sells the show. But what's the deeper reason for why I'm here is why you are the way you are, you know?
Yes.
But even, do you know what? It's weird, and not to connect it back to that. Even when I did those documentaries, it was odd because one of the compliments I would get, it would be, wow, that's like such a smart thing. Or you know what I'm saying? Intelligent. You come across intelligent, and I couldn't believe it. Like I
you
wouldn't
really
understand.
do.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And I think
it.
you do on stage as well.
But you know, I never understood that. Like
Yeah.
I never. It's even when I started comedy, people would say like, "Oh," and I think I was very destructive in the early part of my career. And I think
how old were you when you started then? So
I did my first show at 16, but I started doing it.
Your first show at 16.
Yeah,
That's so young.
But I started taking it seriously around 19, 20.
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to take anything seriously at 16.
Yeah,
that's
no.
incredible.
So I did one show, but I remember. I mean,
that's just out of school.
Yeah, well, yeah, college.
It's continuing that performer in you.
Yeah. And that was the thing, man. Like, and then I sort of was in school, and then when I went college, it was and I remember my mum saying to me, like, you know, you finish school now, because I got through school by the skin of my teeth, and they tried to boot me at bare times, but I managed to get through it. And
I guess not with many qualifications. No GCSEs.
No. I got like
GCSEs.
I think I got a C in drama, because I had an A in performance, but I had a D.
It's the same as me.
Yeah, I had a D
you
in the
writing.
writing.
You had to do a written exam.
Yeah.
You had to do a written exam.
Yeah, I failed the written exam.
So your final grade ended up being a C, even though you got a. That's the exact same as me.
Yeah. Because I just think I didn't. Even to this day, I don't kind of like the theory of performance. I think performance is it's to be performed, and I think the theory should be oral. Like I think me and you talking about comedy, I'm more interested in that than reading the book about comedy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I understand you need books because some people don't have the access to talk to you or me, and they need a book. But I think the philosophy is oral, and I think we should have to. You know what I mean?
And that's where my podcast comes in.
There you go.
Yes, no, absolutely.
But yeah, so
God, you were saying this is crucial, that your mum's had a conversation with you.
Yes. And she says, you know, what are you doing? Like, you need to try and do something. So I remember I went, and I remember thinking I didn't want to do an acting. I said I like drama and I like acting, but I didn't want to do acting in my area, because all the guys I grew up with were in the colleges in my area, and I feel embarrassed acting in front of them, because I knew it would be Romeo and Juliet and Shakespearean, and I just felt embarrassed about doing that in front of guys I grew up with.
I remember being at college, and there were two different classes. There was performing arts,
yes,
which was going to be a bit more
musical theatre,
and then there was theatre studies. Which one are we talking about?
I did acting,
right?
There was musical theatre.
So
but
you were
I did
doing
acting.
More theatre
Yes,
studies.
I did acting.
Yeah, Shakespeare.
But I'll tell you this, in college, there was one dude, his name was Billy, and I fucking hate this guy to this day. If you're watching this, Billy, we have to pick our final.
Sorry, Billy.
Because I picked a college outside of my area. So I picked Westminster Kingsway.
To get away from your friends.
Yes.
They don't know this.
No.
They don't know this. You're giving them a different reason. I'll just be.
Yeah,
I
I just want to be at different ends. I want to, you know what I mean? I'm trying to make it cool. Like, no, there's different girls I ain't met down there and all that stuff. But, bro, so I get to this, and it's Westminster Kingsway. So I'm thinking it's in central London. It's, you know what I mean? Brother, it's like a council estate, yeah. It's rough as fuck, fam. It's all the guys from South London. It's all these, and they're the guys who come to our acting performances and they're heckling us. You know what I mean? We're trying to do Shakespeare. They're like, bro, shit, thou shalt what, bruv? You know what I mean? It was fucking rough, man. And
thou shalt what?
Yeah. Thou shalt what, man? What the fuck you talking about, man?
to be
it
to be
stinks
what?
A skunk.
To be what?
yeah. And I remember we had to do performances. But those college days, it kind of felt like primary again. Like it was sort of less authority. It was freedom. It was kind of, you would ask the teacher, what about this? And they'll go, what do you think about it? What's your thoughts on the script? What do you think? And there was a teacher called Rob, and I still talk to Rob today, and he's a good guy, man. And he would like, it would all be like, you know, what do you think? How do you interpret the person? How do you interpret it? We'll read between the subtext. And it was learning all that stuff, learning improv, and you know, and I sort of like the guys in my class were more. I found sort of kinship with them guys, and we sort of like. We had the same sense of humor, and it was sort of like, you know, and we all liked comedy, and you know, and they were from different areas, and we sort of and it was enjoyable. But I remember Billy, getting back to this Billy guy, man. So it's the final. Don't
let Billy off the hook.
It's the final performance, and we got to pick what we want to do for our final performance. And so, you know, none of us know fucking, you know, plays and that. And he goes, "Let's do a musical." And everyone's like, nah, man, fuck that. We don't want to do a musical. And the teacher's like, fantastic idea. So we got to do Bugsy Malone. And I remember me and my boy, Luke, Fat Luke, we were like, how are we going to get out of doing Bugsy Malone, yeah? So we did the two characters we was the cops, because it was the only characters that didn't have to do fucking the dancing and the singing and all of that shit. So we had to like kind of weave in and that. So every time that there was like a musical number, we had to kind of come up with a premise of why they wouldn't be in the musical. And it's like we had to duck and dive out of this fucking music. So luckily we didn't have to sing and dance. And we had to...
So you were coming up with kind of creative reasons, and you were making out that they were artistic reasons.
Like comical reasons of why we wouldn't be singing and dancing.
I just don't think it would be true to the character.
Or we would like, it's not in the script, but can we do this little sketch? Because then the sketch got us out of it. Right, so we were like coming up with sketches to why we don't have to be in this, and But college is cool, man. I liked college,
Well, 16, I think we can go there because you're so young. How'd you end up doing this gig then?
I end up doing this gig
because we've not mentioned you've watched stand up with your family.
Yeah.
And we know you, so now you're acting.
Yeah. There was a guy in college who did it. And I remember him talking about it. And I was thinking, I think I could do, because I remember I watched 100 Greatest Stand-Ups. And I remember it was on Channel 4.
Yeah, I remember.
It was 100 Greatest
Was that the one where Stuart Lee comes 41st?
Yeah.
And then names his show.
Yeah. It was that one. I remember watching that and thinking everyone's, you know, that's decent. I remember seeing Bill Hicks. And as a 16-year-old, you know, and you can say what you want about him now, but at 16, that was some of the coolest shit I've ever. He's smoking a fag. He's talking about the government. He's wearing all. You know what I mean? And I remember
he's angry.
He's angry. And I remember watching that and thinking, man, that's one of the coolest motherfuckers, man. And so I started kind of wanting to be a comedian after that, like do stand up. And then a guy in my college who I spoke to had done stand up, and then I was like, yeah, I want to try that. So I went to Lions Den, and I had to pay £4.
Which one? What's Lions Den?
Lions Den was in King's Cross. No, it was in King's Cross.
Yeah,
it was at the Star Pub, and I remember it was. And I remember there was a guy. I did a short film. And I'd met a guy on the short film. His name was AO. And for whatever reason, he was just bare. I remember I was sort of playing with the idea of doing stand-up. And he was bare supportive of it for some reason. He was just like, I don't know, this, you know, he was like in his like 30s, older guy, but he was just bare supportive of me doing comedy. He used to come to a lot of my shows back in the day. And I remember he said, "I'll come down to this comedy show, Lions Den, you can watch it and that." And then I get there and he goes, "Oh, by the way, I signed you up." He just signed me up. And I remember I went on.
Can you remember what?
I mean, it went.
You seem pretty chilled. I mean, when we gigged together, I mean, you didn't see me in Kingsway before. I think you were on stage and I was in the green room.
Yeah.
But poor Bobby Mayer had to sit with me in the green room. When I'm doing new material, I'm a mess.
You're a wreck, yeah.
I'm just almost shaking.
Mm.
You don't seem to me to be that guy. It seems you're certainly cool on the outside.
Yeah, I'll tell you this, yeah. I'm shitting it all day.
Yeah.
And then I get there, and then when I'm in the green room, a voice in my head goes, "Listen, you're here now. There's nothing you can do about it. Everything that's on the piece of paper is there." And then I stand on the side, and just before they call my name, another voice pops in my head and goes, "You ain't never done comedy before. What are you talking about? You can't do this. What the fuck is it?" And then I start thinking about what comedy is. So you're telling me I go on stage and and that's my life now? What a weird existence that is. And I think about all of that.
What?
And then I go on stage. Do you know what? Have you Greg,
each to their own.
This is kind of off subject, but I love this that Greg Davis was telling me this, that he said Kerry Mark said this. He goes, "You know it's gonna be a bad gig of when you're coming on stage and a voice in your head goes, 'I don't walk like this.'" Like that's how you know it's gonna be a bad gig.
Funny.
Because it's that thing of you're aware of too much
funny.
and you're aware of how you walk now. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Kerry Marks. Shout
Great
out
comedy,
for Kerry.
man.
I'm so glad you mentioned Kerry Marks.
Yeah.
Kerry Marks is a genius.
Yeah, he's great.
He is absolutely incredible.
He's great.
So, yeah,
But yeah, it was but yeah, so then I overthink everything and I go, what is this existence of being a comedian? What do you mean that this is how I pay my bills? This is weird.
Yes.
Where am I? You can't do this. And then I go on stage and then it is what it is.
And could you, and how was it at 16? What was it at 16?
Pure fear. You know when you can taste metal?
Yeah.
You know that when you're just pure unadulterated fear.
Yeah.
Just scared as shit. It was probably like, I remember it being fine. And I remember having some really hacky, I can't remember even what bits I had, man. I just remember having bits where a lot of it just wasn't true or just I lied a lot. And it was just awful. It was really bad, man. But now, looking back at the time, it was like fine, but not good enough that I carried on doing it. Like I stopped for a long.
You stopped for a bit and came back. Well, it paved the way. It's part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's part of the person that I'm sat opposite now. I just want to end, I suppose, with, there's a difficult bit there that you have in your life that's very clear to us all. And for anyone listening that might be either currently going through the same thing or has just gone through that, do you have any kind of words of wisdom that you would give to them if they're in that same spot you're in back at school, feeling hopeless?
I would say that it doesn't feel like it at the time, but if life's a beach, it's a grain of sand. You know what I mean? And it's so not gonna be. It's so not forever, even though this moment feels like forever.
Yeah.
It's gonna pass before you know it. Like you'll blink your eyes and it'll be long gone. Like this is 20 years ago I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And everything in life is achievable it depends on how badly you want it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like who I was then and what I thought my life would be, I couldn't dream or imagine it would be what it is now.
Yeah.
And because I took the risk or the leap, I'm more happier than I ever could have imagined I would have been. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
And I think when you do things for yourself, out for your own happiness, there's nothing that beats that feeling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean now?
Absolutely.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will help someone watching or listening this.
Or don't and just be miserable. I guess that's the
Don't listen to him.
Yeah, listen to the teachers. They're right.
Mate, that was fantastic.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Yeah,
Love
you're
that.
going for the fist bump now.
Absolutely, that's our handshake. Is the fist bump because of last night.
Right,
thank you, Jamali Maddix, everyone. Thank you so much. Well, I absolutely loved that. That was the brilliant Jamali Maddix. Please remember to leave your comments under whatever you listen to this on. Leave it on YouTube. Leave them on Apple and Spotify. Hit like. Make sure you subscribe. You have no idea how much it helps us make this show bigger and better. We need you to keep liking and commenting to be able for it to keep going. So we'd really appreciate that. And we'll see you soon for more Class Clown.